The short answer, Kendrick released better music overall. Drake put out a track with Tupac that made people not want to root for him, except the slurpers in his audience. Kendrick's track put out crazy allegations on Drake that had something to them, where Drake responded with dumbass memes. Also, there's BBL and there's a lot more too, but here's the long version. I know I'm late to this whole thing and I wanted to kind of tackle this while it was still kind of like everyone else is doing their videos and stuff, but I want to start off by saying that I have not been the biggest fan of rap in recent years, if I'm being quite honest. When I started listening to music way back when, back in the good old high school days, you know what I'm saying? Hip-hop was probably one of the main genres that I'll always have on when I'm walking or working on something, with rap specifically being part of that genre. I also listen to like R&B, I listen to T-Pain. T-Pain is probably one of my favorite artists. I used to listen to Snoop Dogg a lot, and so on and so forth. We don't have to list the amount of people that I listen to. But in recent times, my music taste has drastically changed. Now, I say all that to say, as someone who doesn't really listen to rap as much these days, I never would have thought that I would ever be invested in a beef between rappers to the extent I had when it comes to Drake and Kendrick Lamar, which was a battle that I've seen people who've been into rap for a long period of time saying that this is most likely going to go down in the history books as one of the craziest feuds in hip-hop history. And honestly, I can completely understand why. I mean, from the different allegations that have been thrown, to the fire music on both sides that have been compiled, to the lackluster tracks as well, which of course we'll get into. But overall, this is a really exciting time to be kind of like a hip-hop fan, right? It almost sort of revived hip-hop, because recently hip-hop has been, when Ice Spice is the person people are like championing on to be like the savior, it's actually Joe over, dude. Now, for anyone that's not really in the loop or doesn't really know what the hell is going on, don't know who Kendrick Lamar or Drake is, but you're like, Drake, you mean Drake from Drake Bell?
Drake! Yes!
You mean Drake from Drake Bell, my little friend? We may as well start from the very, very beginning. No, don't worry, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, alright? We are going to talk about like all the songs and stuff that got revealed and shooting and all that jazz. We'll talk about it all, okay? Everything's going to be revealed here. Now, let's start to get an understanding of who exactly this involves. So first, we got Drake.
Some madness and badness.
Aubrey Drake Graham, known mononymously as Drake, is a Canadian rapper, singer, and actor. An influential figure in contemporary popular music, he's been credited with popularizing R&B sensibilities in hip-hop artists. Drake was responsible for albums like Thank Me Later, Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, and I'm sure that you guys all have like a Drake song that you guys like. A lot of people really love Drake for his melodic tones. I think he's known for, has like two different versions of Drake within the rap game. I think one is like his rapper form, which is the side he kind of dug into when coming into this beef, and then there's the more melodic side where he's singing and stuff. And the other main character to talk about here is good old Kendrick, who's basically, if you guys don't know, is probably one of the best lyricists that we've had in hip-hop, like in general. Like, he's going to be up there in lyricism, and you guys will see why in a second. Kendrick Lamar Duckworth is an American rapper and songwriter, often regarded as one of the greatest rappers of all time by music publications. He's the only musician outside of classical and jazz genres to be awarded the Pulitzer Prize for Music. If you guys don't know what the Pulitzer Prize for Music is, they're basically letters that are awarded in letters, drama, and music. And Kendrick had actually gotten this Pulitzer Prize in, I believe, for Damn, which is one of his albums. He's an inspirational name among the hip-hop industry. A lot of people love Kendrick Lamar. Lamar has received various accolades throughout his career, including 1 Primetime Emmy Award, 1 Brit Award, 4 American Music Awards, 6 Billboard Music Awards, 11 MTV Video Music Awards, 17 Grammy Awards, and 29 BET Hip Hop Awards. Time listed him as one of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2016. 2 of his concert tours, the Damn Tour and the Big Steppers Tour, are amongst the highest grossing rap tours in history. Both of these guys are incredibly successful in the rap game. And not even just the rap game, but just in music in general, you know? These two, alongside another incredible musician slash producer, Jermaine Cole, aka J. Cole, are objectively some of the greatest rappers to live, with the public coming to an agreement that these guys are pretty much the big 3 of the 2010s when it comes to hip-hop. If you look in this like Reddit post here, so we have the discussion, the big 3 of each decade. I asked who's the big 3 of the 2000s were a while back in the daily discussion. I got a lot of answers, so I figured it'd just be one whole thread. Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Drake are widely agreed upon 3 of the 2010s. So basically, in their current generation, at least for right now, these guys are the big 3. And no fluke exists here, as the musicians have insane accolades, as we kind of went through that, are definitely not to be scoffed at. Once again, Kendrick being the only hip-hop artist to win the Pulitzer Prize for Music in 2018 for his 2017 album Damn. Drake and his massively successful sound label OV-HOOOOEEEEEEE, my fault guys, I mean OVO Sound, which you can actually see the roster of people that he has on his website here that I have linked. So this is OVO Sound, you know what I'm saying? So we got all these people. We got Party Next Door, DVSN, Majid Jordan, Roy Woods, Popkin, Baka Not Nice, Smiley, Naomi Sharon. You can see these are basically people that like is signed under OVO. This will be very, very important later on, so keep those names in the back of your mind, or at least keep a couple of them. And don't forget about them. Keep it in the back of your pocket. And Cole himself, even though we didn't really get into Cole that much, but he actually has his own strides with his own label, Dreamville Records.
Oh, see it? Yep. See what that is? Yeah. Alright. Put it back in. Right there.
This is Dreamville Records' official website, and they have a bunch of different talented artists here. They got Jid, you got Earth Gang, you got Ari. Like, he has a lot of people on his album, a lot of talented rappers. And if we just look at what it says about J. Cole's different accomplishments that he's had over his rap career, it's just as crazy as well. Each of Cole's studio albums have debuted atop the US Billboard 200, beginning with his debut Cole World: The Sideline Story and its follow-up Born Sinner. Both met with critical acclaim. The albums yielded the Billboard Top 100's top 40 singles. His sixth album, The Off Season, was met with continued success and spawned the single My Life, which peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 100. Its chart success was matched by his guest appearance on the 2023 single All My Life by Lil Durk, and succeeded by his first song to peak the chart, First Person Shooter, by Drake that same year. Regardless, I think a lot of people can agree that when it comes to achievements and the talent that the three have, you can easily say that they're in a caliber of their own. Now, despite me saying that, it really seems like 2 out of the 3, Drake and Kendrick Lamar, really didn't like each other that much, even going back way before this whole beef even started in the first place, and blew up like how it did. The animosity seemed so poignant, you could practically taste that shit in the air. Here we have an article that kind of goes into this whole beef and how it initially started. I'm sure a lot of people have kind of went over it at this point, so you might know, but just in case you don't, we have Drake and Kendrick Lamar's feud explained, how rap's biggest beef is good for the culture. So we say, how did this beef begin? Back in 2011, Canadian child star turned rapper Aubrey Graham, aka Drake, known for multi-platform, gave up-and-comer Lamar a platform on his blockbuster second album Take Care, and made him the opener for a subsequent 2012 tour. They also joined forces for A$AP Rocky's 2012 fan favorite Frickin' Problems. Following the breakthrough success of his major label debut, Good Kid, Mad City, Lamar recorded a guest verse on Big Sean's track Control, where he called out Drake among the biggest rappers of the day. Keep in mind, this is all the way back in 2013. I got love for you all, but I'm trying to murder you niggas, he declared in a moment that ended up the rap game. At the 2013 BET Hip Hop Awards, Lamar memorably claimed his Control verse had tucked a sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. Damn. Relations between Drake and Lamar have remained icy ever since, but never severe. The pair seem content to subliminally snipe at each other, whether in public appearances or in songs. However, things have escalated drastically in recent months, and the turning point stemmed not from Drake and Lamar, but from a gesture of unity from J. Cole. Now that you guys have all that background information, let's kind of go into the flaming from both Drake and Kendrick, and let's get to the timeline that kind of transpired the events to occur. Now, unfortunately, I'm not your rage, and I'm not No Life Shack, okay? So there's barely going to be any music playing throughout this entire video, because yeah, I'm not trying to get copyrighted. I will show the lyrics to you guys to kind of provide some context. This all starts with Drake's most recent album, For All the Dogs, that was released all the way back in October of 2023, when he had J. Cole on a track called First Person Shooter. In that song, J. Cole actually mentions the big three, and how people are arguing who in that pool is better than who. Love when they argue who's the hardest MC. Is it K-Dot, Kendrick, is it Aubrey, Drake, or me? We the big three, we started a league. You can obviously tell that this was meant to be like a wholesome line that was supposed to raise everyone up at the time. I think there was a line that followed that was like, I feel like I'm in the big leagues or something along those lines. But for the most part, it was supposed to be like a line that bigs all three of them up, right? I don't think anyone can argue that all three of them have made incredible strides in their careers. But it seemed that one of the big three did not agree with what was said here, and that would be Big K-Dot himself. Now, fast forward to March 22nd, 2024, we have two rappers that are going to be pretty important to this story as well. Future and Metro Boomin, specifically Metro Boomin. We'll get to Metro Boomin in a little bit. Who also have very turbulent relationships with Drake at the moment. Released an album called We Don't Trust You. And in one of the songs called Like That, featured Kendrick Lamar, where in one verse he talks about the Big Three argument. So this is We Don't Trust You here. We Don't Trust You marks the full-length union of frequent collaborators Future and Metro Boomin. The project's title calls to Metro's legendary tag What's Our Future. If Metro Boomin don't trust you, I'm gonna shoot you. So here we have like a bunch of stuff. We have We Don't Trust You, Ice Attack type shit by Future, Metro Boomin, Travis Scott, Playboy Cardi. Damn, that was stacked. But you guys can clearly see one is way more viewed than the others, and that is Like That by Future, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar. So let's check out the lyrics to that, shall we? So once again, the line is right here. So basically the line goes, sneak dissing, first person shooter, I hope they came with the 3 switches. Motherfucker the Big Three, nigga, it's just big me. Nigga bum, what, I'm really like that, and your best work is a light pack. Nigga Prince outlived Mike Jack, nigga bum. For all your dogs getting buried, that's a K with all these 9s, he gonna see Pet Cemetery. Nigga bum. Here you have the annotations from good old Genius. We're going to be going to Genius quite a lot here today. Kendrick Lamar disses both Drake and J. Cole, directly replying to the latter's line from the 23 collab First Person Shooter. These three are universally considered to be the greatest mainstream rappers of the 2010s hip-hop, i.e. the Big Three as dubbed by Cole. While Jermaine seemed to take a more friendly approach to the debate by collaborating with Drake, Kendrick rejects this civility altogether. In a sense, this is Kendrick standing firm on exactly what he said a little over a decade ago on 2013's Control by Big Sean. Kendrick lets both rappers know that their legacies will not outlive his, comparing his body to work to that of Prince, who outlived Michael Jackson by just under 7 years. This also directly responds to Drake's boast in First Person Shooter, where he compares his commercial success to Michael Jackson. What the f, bro? I'm one away from Michael. Nigga beat it what? Okay. Finally, Kendrick makes one last call out to the duo by calling them dogs that will end up buried in the Pet Cemetery, title of the 1983 best-selling novel from the horror writer Stephen King. There's also a play on For All the Dogs, the aforementioned album that First Person Shooter is on. While Drake and Kendrick have been trading subtle shots at each other for years, it's interesting that Lamar has brought Cole into this since the two have generally gone along. They even teased a collaborative album in fall of 2015 by rapping over each other's beats on Black Friday. I think the reason why this is the case, honestly, is because Cole collabed with Drake, and once again, Kendrick does not like Drake whatsoever, and I think he's stood on business, to be fair. Like, I just don't think he likes Drake at all. He never wants to collaborate with Drake, and I think Cole collaborating with Drake was sort of like, I guess maybe he saw that as kind of like a statement or something, and that's why he was mad at Cole, but who knows, man. I also think that line with him still taking jabs at For All the Dogs, I also think that could be him just saying that For All the Dogs wasn't good, which, to be fair, I think there were people out there that would definitely agree with that. I think a lot of people did not like For All the Dogs. It was more of an experimental album anyway, so yeah. Either way, then on April 5th, which was a little over 2 weeks later after Like That was released, J. Cole releases his newest album, Might Delete Later, which for the most part is just regular individual tracks since it's just a typical album. Might Delete Later is the 4th mixtape by American rapper J. Cole. It was a surprise released on April 5th, 2024 by Dreamville and Interscope Records, marking Cole's first project not to be released with Roc Nation. The release has been hinted at in the weeks preceding its release through vlogs released by J. Cole, and features a response to the fellow American rapper Kendrick Lamar's diss track Like That on the album's closing track 7 Minute Drill. Now, if we look exactly what 7 Minute Drill is about, 7 Minute Drill serves as the anticipated response to Kendrick Lamar's diss on Like That, which are aimed at J. Cole and Drake. Establishing this track as a warning shot, Cole interpolates lyrics from his mentor Jay-Z's famous Nas track Takeover, and casts shade on the consistency and quality of Kendrick's discography. Now, this is a whole thing that, once again, Drake talks about, I think, a little bit, is that he took a very long break from doing music. I think he took like a 5-year or something break like that. There was a long period of time where he just was not coming out with any new music. So basically, you know, it's a call out being like, how are you kind of the Big Three when you don't have the constant grind set mentality that someone like J. Cole or someone like Drake has? Specifically Drake, because Drake is never forgot about. He's always in the public. He's always being talked about with his albums and things like that, because they are are good for the most part. Yeah, they are good. And there is a lot of stuff on this track that he calls out Kendrick for. He says, I came up in the Ville, so I'm good when it's tension. He's still doing shows, but fell off like The Simpsons. Your first shit was classic, your last shit was tragic. Second shit put niggas to sleep, but they gassed it. Your third shit was massive, and that was your prime. I was trailing right behind, and now I just hit mine. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff on it coming straight at Kendrick Lamar. Basically saying, yo, look, if you calling cap on that, saying it's just Big U, then come here. You know, he's challenging him. He's challenging him. Now this is a friendly competition, okay? And also the reason why the track is titled 7-Minute Drills is basically because J. Cole has a thing where apparently he gives himself 7 minutes to write as an exercise. He also said he's spoken about this numerous times in interviews and documentaries, and has taught this practice to his Dreamville artists and frequent collaborators. This title implies that this response was composed during a 7-minute drill, which is most likely chosen to emphasize the ease that Cole can write with. Even by reading the lyrics to the song, you can feel the hyper lethality that it had towards Kendrick. Basically, it was potent for like less than 2 days, because less than 48 hours later, he then apologized for everything he said on 7-Minute Drill. And not only that, he then deleted 7-Minute Drill on all streaming platforms, just all of them, Spotify, all of it's taken down. Really, the only way you can view the song is through basically re-uploads on YouTube. You know those like lyric videos, like those kinds.
So I'm so proud of that project, except for one part. It's one part of that shit that make me feel like, man, that's the lamest shit I ever did in my fucking life, right? And I know this is not what a lot of people want to hear. I know I can hear my niggas up there right now like, nah, don't do that. But I got to keep it 100 with y'all. I damn near had a relapse, right? Because I heard some shit that happened 3 weeks ago, however long it was. Y'all heard that bazooka that was dropped on the motherfucking game, right? So all of this time of me moving on my own accord, for the first time I was tested. Why am I tested? Because I got the world and I got my niggas like, what you gonna do, Cole?
What you gonna do, bro? What you gonna do?
Niggas like, boy, I must have had 1,000 missed calls. Oh my fucking God. One, I know my heart, you know what I mean? And like, I know how I feel about my peers, these two niggas that I just been blessed to even stand beside in this game, let alone chase their greatness, right? So I felt conflicted because I'm like, bro, I know I don't really feel no way, but the world want to see blood.
Okay, now, I'm not gonna hold you. To an extent, I can kind of understand this. I mean, like, once again, this is entertainment to a lot of people. This is how they want to go about and see their favorite rapper go against another favorite rapper. But it's also the fact that, once again, you get new music from two of the greatest artists of the 2010s, right? You get a high output of songs for both of them. And that would have been sick to see. I think that is probably one of the main things that people would say. But, I mean, I can see what J. Cole is saying. There are some people who just want, like, people to just shoot each other and die and stuff. It's like people want blood, but at the same time, I think a lot of people just want music, basically.
Like, I try to like jab my nigga back and I try to keep it friendly, but at the end of the day, when I listen to it, when it comes out and I see the talk, that shit don't sit right with my spirit. That shit make me feel, that shit disrupts my fucking peace. So I just want to come up here and be like, publicly be like, that was the lamest, like, goofiest shit. And I say all that to say, it made me feel like 10 years ago when I was moving incorrectly. And I pray that God align me back up on my purpose and on my path. You know what I mean? I pray that my nigga really didn't feel no way. And if he did, my nigga, I got my chin out. Take your best shot. I'm gonna take that shit on the chin, boy. Do what you do. You know what I mean? Like, all good. Like, it's love.
So basically, he apologized profusely to Kendrick Lamar, basically saying, hey man, I just want peace and love, positivity. I don't want to be fighting out here. And yeah, interesting. It's interesting. It's very interesting. A lot of people did not like this whatsoever. A lot of people did not like this. There were people defending him. Like, don't get me wrong, there were people defending him. He wasn't apologizing for making a diss track. He was apologizing for letting somebody get him out of his character. Respect. We confuse his wisdom for weakness. We owe you an apology, Cole. A lot of people, even including myself initially, when I kind of saw that this was going down, I was like, this is obviously a bitch made move, right? I mean, you just challenged this dude to the music version of a face-off, and then you punk out before the battle even began. It was just very deflating and very disappointing to people that are true fans of hip-hop to not get two of the greatest rappers to go at each other, because once again, it's a high output of music that people will receive, and that's more music for people to enjoy. regardless of what the disses are, basically.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm so disappointed, bro. I'm literally just now hearing about this. Okay, first things first, before I do anything, I have to react to the footage. I have to see exactly what was said. So J. Cole apologized to Kendrick. I seen clips and I looked through comments, and it's actually disturbing to me how many like D-Rider fans are like defending the apology and not even realizing what's going on. I ain't gonna lie, like they got gaslit by J. Cole. I like J. Cole as much as the next person, bro. I love Might Delete Later, bro. I can't even listen to the songs the same anymore, bro. There was like jabs throughout each song or throughout the whole album, and I for sure can't listen to 7 Minute Drill at all. I thought it was so hard he was popping his shit off. He said what he had to say. It was diss records. Like, what? Where's all the memes at if it was Drake? Niggas clown on Drake. He's not a human too? And like I said, I like J. Cole, but I'm also like, I don't know, maybe they're not even a fan of music. They're just a fan of J. Cole, so they just don't get it at all. It's the back and forth between who's got the better bars. A lot of times when I was dissing niggas going back and forth and bar sparring, bro, we actually fuck with each other more because the respect of the whole battle afterwards. And I think that goes with a lot of things. Boxing matches, MMA fights, any type of battle, any type of show of strength or power, there's always respect in the end because them niggas stood toe to toe and did what they had to do.
Honestly, the way Dante's spitting a little bit, bro. For example, once again, this is essentially the equivalent of like a boxing match. This is the equivalent of if you were talking a lot of smack at a boxing match, and then when the actual boxing match, it's the night of the fight, you call off because you feel like you don't want to disrespect the boxer or whatever. Once again, it's very disappointing, and a lot of people are very disappointed by the fact that we're not going to get the battle that they wanted. With the unfortunate back off from J. Cole, and in the midst of people's disappointment with everything, there was still one challenger that was still there, guys. You know, it's big three, not big two. Obviously, that person is Aubrey Graham himself, right? But Kendrick wasn't the only one getting it, because Drake went at pretty much everybody that have been against him recently due to a variety of different reasons. As he said before, the album we checked out with Future and Metro Boomin, these are two people who had issues with Drake as well.
So Future and Metro Boomin are the two people responsible for the so-called rap civil war, and it seems like Metro Boomin is the main mastermind behind it. But why does Metro Boomin hate Drake? Well, it seems to have started back in December of 2022 when Drake was left off of Metro Boomin's album Heroes and Villains.
I was just in the studio with Drake one time because we were going to do some stuff on my album, and he just wanted to hear some songs from my album. Then he heard that one and really wanted to get on it, but like I was letting him know that he was really just done for real, and I was really just set on how it was. I was like, bro, I ain't even trying to sell you no dream. Like, it's really like just locked in. I'm locked in where it was, but
their beef seemed to flare up again after Drake and 21 Savage's album Her Loss kept winning Album of the Year over Metro's album. Metro tweeted, "Yet Her Loss still keeps winning Rap Album of the Year over H&V. Proof that award shows are just politics and not for me. I don't care about awards honestly. The true award and reward is knowing that the music I spend so much time on brings joy to people's everyday lives."
I remember he deleted that tweet, and then Drake actually responded, not directly to Metro Boomin, but he did respond to what Metro Boomin said.
To the rest of you, the non-believers, the underachievers, the tweet and deleters, you guys make me sick to my stomachs, fam. Honestly, if you guys want to look in my eyes, you guys want to do something? That's what I thought. No, that's what I thought.
There was beef going on between Metro Boomin and Drake because it's mostly because like rap beef and stuff. There was people like The Weeknd who was really, really good friends with Drake at first. Drake actually had put him on, and then I believe he was trying to sign Weeknd into OVO Sound, but then The Weeknd signed to somewhere else. That kind of created a little bit of tension between Drake and Weeknd. Weeknd was like, oh, Drake knew I was gonna sign to this place, but then Drake kind of responded in like this weird way.
No, but do you think also one thing in that? Do you think also the fact that things didn't work out with The Weeknd? You know, like you said, you would embrace almost building another star, though. You're not really going out of your way trying to make it happen, but if it did happen, you'd be able to deal with it and embrace it, and then that didn't work out. Do you think that kind of overlaps a little bit of this kind of organic thing you're building with OVO?
Well, with Abel, we had our run. You know, we had our moments on Take Care. And, you know, my features on his projects. And he just really came to me at one point, came to all of us and was like, look, like, I don't want to sign under another artist because I feel like I could be just as big or bigger, and I want to start my own thing. And it was never like, to this day, I'm always excited Always super happy for all those guys. And I never like had any resentment towards like, oh, you didn't stay on OVO. That was never really like, I'm not gonna say there weren't people that didn't feel a way about it, but that was never my thing. I never expected Abel to stay under OVO as soon as I heard him once express that he wanted to do his own thing. So it's like, my biggest regret would maybe be that we probably wasted 7 years not communicating with each other when we had something.
There was Rick Ross. He'll be scattered throughout this video, so don't worry. It was a lot of people who are pretty much completely off his side, basically. It's like Invincible, where all those heroes are coming after him. He's literally Omni-Man just standing there. He's like, yeah, it's a dog-eat-dog world or something. At the time, I didn't even know Drake was so hated by everyone. I thought he was beloved, but that really did seem to be the case. Even within the public, it seemed like the rhetoric, now I know, is that people like Drake's music, but they don't like Drake the person. And I did not know why, and to this day, I really don't understand why, because I think the stuff that people don't like him for now was kind of deaded and not a lot of people knew about it. So I still don't really understand why people like hated Drake that much, but hey man, it is what it is. Regardless, Drake pretty much addressed all of them in a song that started this whole thing, called Pushups, which initially had leaked to the public, and there was even some speculation to it being AI as well, which is really ironic for what happens later on, but we'll get to that later. Drake set social media ablaze after what sounded like an unfinished demo of Pushups leaked on Saturday, April 13th, featuring a sample from Junior Mafia's Get Money. Soon after, a high-quality version of the track leaked with a new beat. Many questioned the authenticity of the song, and some claimed that it was AI. But soon after, he seemingly confirmed its legitimacy by posting an image from Kill Bill on his Instagram story, portraying a still from the film of the bride, Uma Thurman, brandishing a sword against a circle of men ready to attack her. Once again, which is kind of just like what happened here, where he literally came at everyone. This is interesting for a reveal later on, but we'll get to that when we get to it. I think that it was a solid song overall and had some pretty good stuff in it, honestly. I think it was one of the better tracks that Drake's put out. I would say it's probably his second best. First best we'll get to, but yeah. You guys see Pushups sees Drake respond to a flurry of shots, but primarily those from Kendrick Lamar, Future, Metro Boomin in the wake of Like That, their collaborative diss track against Drake. Two versions of the track leaked on April 13, 2024. On the same day, a teaser, billboard, and digital banner from Spotify hinted at a new song from Drake that may be associated with the diss track. Drake diss on the way, hip-hop is a competitive sport, new Drake promo via Spotify. Yeah, it had like the little banner here, which is interesting to say the least. So yeah, basically it was a lot. He came at like everyone. He had like a line for The Weeknd, he had a line for Metro Boomin and stuff. The funniest bar, I'm not gonna lie, is when he said, Metro, shut your hoe ass up and make some drums. He told Metro Boomin to shut his hoe ass up and make some drums. That was really funny. I love that. Now, where he talks about Kendrick, I think this is where he addresses Kendrick, I believe. Yeah. Okay. So he says, your last one's bricked. You're really not on shit. They make excuses for you because they hate to see me lit. Pull your contract because you got to see this split. The way you doing splits, your pants might rip. You better do the motherfucking show inside the video. Maroon 5 need a verse. You better make it witty. Then we need a verse for the Swifties. Pipsqueak pipe down. You ain't no big three. SZA got you wiped down. Travis got you wiped down. Savage got you wiped down. Like your label boy, you in a scope right now, and you're gonna feel the aftermath of what I write down. I'm at the top of the mountain, so you tight now. Just to have this talk with your ass, I had to hike down. Big difference between Mike then and Mike now. What's a prince to a king? He a son, nigga. Get more love in the city that you from, nigga. Metro showed your ass up and make some drums. That was the fun. That was like the funniest bar there. I will say this, Pushups, it definitely has some iconic lines in there that definitely hit. Another bar that is going to be really important for later on, and this is one that kind of got overshadowed a little bit, was this one right here. I be with some bodyguards like Whitney. To top say drop, and then like he calls him short here as well. This could also be a jab at Whitney Alford, the wife of Kendrick Lamar. She's featured on the cover of his 2022 album, Mr. Morale and Big Steppers, guarded by Lamar and his concealed gun. This line may simultaneously be a veiled allegation of unfaithfulness against Lamar's wife. So basically he was like making fun of his wife there. This is probably the most important bar in the entire song, by the way. He did tell Kendrick that he's short and he had small feet. He said that Rick Ross is like almost 50 and that he should shut up and stuff. Because I believe at the time, I think Rick Ross was saying something, I think he said something when the song initially leaked. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but this is a really confusing timeline, guys. I'm trying my best. I'm sorry. Pushups was very well received in the public and people really like the energy on the track since Drake is usually known for singing in melodic tunes, basically. It was really refreshing to see him go into his more tough persona because I think it's been a while since people really saw that side of him, basically. As I said before, I think the biggest attack for me personally was the line of him talking about Kendrick's girl, Whitney Alford. discovered, and essentially hinted at the fact that she's being unfaithful. Which, I mean, I don't really care that much if I'm honest, but for the sake of getting Kendrick to respond, it's a pretty good jab for all things considered. We'll see later, but there's a lot of different tactics that seem to be pretty successful at getting under Kendrick's skin and getting to actually respond. Now, one of the people, and apparently Drake's biggest op since he kept talking about him over and over and over throughout the entirety of this beef, we have Mr. Rose himself, Mr. Rick Ross. And Ross actually had an immediate response to what Drake said about him on Pushups. And he basically just calls him white boy a bunch of times. And then he talked about how one of his closer connections, Birdman, and
stop playing with my fucking name. All three of y'all, stop playing with my name. I ain't gonna say it no more.
Was struggling and ended up getting a foreclosure on his mansion. He asked why Drake didn't help him if he has so much money to go around. Because that was one thing he was boasting about. I mean, he was talking about contracts, how his contracts are, how good his contracts is compared to Kendrick's. And so if he had a lot of money, why didn't he help his mans out, basically?
Hey, BBL Drizzy, I got a question. I saw you posted you got more money than Ricky Rose. And let's assume you did. But your best friend, Birdman, his house went into foreclosure 5 years ago. You done watched that man struggle them 5 years and ain't get that man a mansion. Because if you got more money than Rose, what's another 50 million, white boy? White boy, it's one for 40 on Indian Creek. It's one for 50 on Star Island. You got 48 hours, white boy. If you got Ricky Rose money, ain't none of my niggas winning foreclosure. Come on, white boy. I'm finna bust a bottle. White boy, don't do stunner like that. Come on, man. What happened to that? 48 hours, the countdown has begun. And that old ass jet you got, they gave it to you free. That's a 1978. Be safe on that, Drizzy.
So after that amazing response from the man, the myth, the legend, Ricky Rose himself, you know what I'm saying? To make Drake really quake in his boots and fear him, I think this is what he means about he has 48 hours. Ross decided to come out with his own track, Champagne Moment, where he focuses strictly towards Drake himself. Bro, this cover art is so funny. Oh my god. He's got hashtag BBL Drizzy. Oh no, not BBL Drizzy. Champagne Moments is the direct response to Drake's high-profile disses on Pushups, which fired at Rick Ross and many of his peers after Metro Boomin and Future released We Don't Trust You, an album sprinkled with shots towards Drake, which Ross was featured on himself. Rose wastes no time in hurling accusations at Drake, alleging reliance on ghostwriters. I don't think this is a legend. I'm pretty sure Drake himself, he admitted to having like 80 billion ghostwriters write a song for him, so I don't think that's really an allegation. If I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm kind of common knowledge. But the diss paints Drake as an outsider in rap and degradingly refers to him as a white boy who climbed the industry's ranks under the help of mentors including Lil Wayne and Rick Ross himself. Under 3 hours after the leak, Rick Ross previewed the instrumental via his Instagram story. Another hour later, he debuted the track live via DJ Academic's YouTube and Twitch stream. Got you. So this was in response to his leak, basically. I'm pretty sure this was like right after Drake dropped Pushups, I'm pretty sure. But I could be wrong, I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure it is. Now, Drake would respond to this later on, but dunking on Kendrick's girl wasn't enough. So he had to go after something else that held dear towards Kendrick, and that would be the respect and appreciation of his idol, Tupac. Now, Tupac is no stranger to this channel. We talked about him when talking about like the Jada video and stuff. Kendrick Lamar, he has, once again, a deep respect for Tupac. When Kendrick Lamar was just 8 years old, his life changed forever. He was a kid from Compton that saw nothing but gray around him until one day when he witnessed a seminal moment in hip-hop history that would act as a life-affirming act in young Kendrick's life. Dr. Dre remains royalty in his native Compton. Back in 1995, he was an unstoppable hip-hop force in his collaborations with Tupac Shakur on the iconic California Love only reaffirmed their geniuses. He remembers how utterly transfixed he was by their greatness and knew that from that moment he was going to dedicate his life to following in their footsteps. I was about 8 years old, Kendrick later recalled to the Recording Academy. They were shooting a video in my neighborhood in Compton. My father sees them, went 2 blocks down and got me. By the time he got me and everyone was out there, it was pandemonium. Put me on his shoulders and there they were. Dr. Dre and Tupac right there. On the 20th anniversary of Tupac's passing in 2016, Kendrick then shared a poignant letter about how this moment was one that he remains forever grateful for. I was 8 years old when I first saw you. I couldn't describe how I felt at that moment. So many emotions, full of excitement, full of joy and eagerness. 20 years later, I understand exactly what that feeling was. The people that you touched on that small intersection changed lives forever. I told myself I wanted to be a voice for man one day. Whoever knew I was speaking out loud for you to listen. Thank you, KL. On his track Mortal Man from the seminal To Pimp a Butterfly, Lamar samples an interview with Pac that he conducted with the Swedish radio station P3 in November 1994. Since Tupac was a very important figure that made Kendrick who he is to this day, it would be a little soft spot for Drake to take advantage of. Take advantage of, he did, in a way that a lot of people will view as incredibly scummy, and that is to have Tupac on a track with Drake. Now, there's only one issue with that. The nigga's dead. And this is where every artist and writer's worst nightmare will come into play. Artificial intelligence. Now, I don't think I have to say it. Artificial intelligence is something that is incredibly controversial. There's lots of people who hate AI in every sense of anything. And if anybody even remotely uses AI in any way, people hate it. Whether it be for art, whether it be for story or writing. And I can completely understand. I mean, there was that whole fiasco with the Willy Wonka experience that shows how trash AI can be to promote scumbags who have no talent compared to people who actually do have talent and do have like writing prowess. There's people like Billy Cole out there that will use AI to basically forward their name into just being a scumbag loser, basically. In all reality, there are instances where AI can be a very bad thing. And now we enter Drake's next diss track towards Kendrick. He basically went back for back, record to record, and had a diss track that was towards Kendrick featuring AI of both Tupac and Snoop Dogg, the wondrous Taylor Made. Now, I'm not even gonna hold you, and I swear it's not even really because of the AI necessarily, but I think this song sucks. I'm not gonna hold you. I listened to it with a friend of mine, and honestly, I just didn't like it that much. I thought it was really corny, and I think the whole song was pretty mid. Like, the whole song was literally just Drake telling Kendrick that he's scared of him because he hasn't dropped anything yet. It was just very underwhelming. Also, I think the use of AI, I think maybe would have hit harder if he used it in a different way or something like that. I have like a whole verse where he's basically pretending to be Tupac, and then he has one that he copies Snoop Dogg. During the song, Drake prominently uses vocals modulated through the use of artificial intelligence software to emulate the voices of legendary West Coast rappers Tupac and Snoop Dogg. Given that the former has been mentioned numerous times by Lamar to be his greatest inspiration and role model, and that the latter has expressed praise for Lamar while having frequently collaborated with him in the past, utilizing their ubiquitous voices while rapping in an insulting and critical manner towards Lamar serves as a unique means for Drake to further convey his disrespect and contempt for him. Him using the AI was more to, once again, get under Kendrick's skin. Using two people that Kendrick probably deeply respecting an AI version of him, because you know Snoop isn't hopping on no damn track with Drake to go after Kendrick Lamar. So him using AI, it's scummy and it's not right, and I disagree with the use of AI here. However, for the sake of the diss, and I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, I think the root of taunting Kendrick by using AI to make it seem that even an artist that Kendrick values is on Drake's side is like an evil villain move. It's actually kind of sick if you think about it. Do I agree with like the AI thing and stuff like that? No, of course not. I don't agree with like replacing people with AI or anything like that. I just want to make that very clear. But in the sense of this rap battle, I can completely understand why he did it. And also keep in mind, at this point, Kendrick has not responded whatsoever. He's been radio silent, no kind of any response whatsoever. So Drake was just talking at this point. He was just like, man, this dude, he's dropping. Like, how are you gonna say it's big me and you haven't even dropped anything? He's basically called him scared, all that jazz. Either way, the blatant use of AI had severe backlash by the general public, mostly because AI, once again, is widely frowned upon, and I assume the move was just seen as very corny from Drake's side. Now, Drake had actually took the video down, and we'll go over that. His original video that he had on Instagram, you can't view it anymore. It's taken down. You're not gonna be able to see it. Basically, let's read the comments of this. This is this person Bag Only. Basically, they do kind of like lyric videos of the track that's playing and stuff. And if we look at the comment section, using Snoop's voice when he's still alive is a crime. What? Dog, Drake using AI to impersonate two rappers is peak level cringe. Pac voice with Drake flow is so disrespectful to Pac's legacy. Hire ghostwriter, hire ghost rapper, bruh. It sounded more like a passive aggressive love letter than a diss. It kind of did a little bit. Stealing Tupac voice and still sounding like Drake is wild. Bringing out AI Pac and Snoop is like making a diss track with a sock puppet on your hand. Weirdest tactic ever. Also, this song feels more like Drake begging Kendrick to keep the beef going for clout. Seems manufactured AF. So yeah, it did not go well in Drake's favor. Like, once again, I know what Drake was trying to do. And, you know, to an extent, I can definitely understand where you're going, but it just wasn't executed well, in my opinion. You can disagree, but yeah. This is actually Snoop's reaction to Drake using his AI in the thing. Apparently people were blowing up his phone about it. I feel like some people actually thought he was on a track with Drake dissing Kendrick Lamar.
They did what? When? How? Are you sure? Y'all have a good night. And to all. Why off? Everybody calling my phone, blowing me up. What the fuck? What happened? What's going on? I'm going back to bed. Good night.
As I said before, you won't be able to see Drake's original release of the song on what I believe to be his Instagram. And this isn't because like the nigga felt bad and took it down or whatever, but Tupac's estate actually demanded Drake to take down the song. And while Snoop Dogg found it just stupid, playful, isn't even worth addressing or whatever, the Tupac estate thought a little differently. Tupac Shakur's estate threatens to sue Drake over diss track featuring AI-generated Tupac voice. In a cease and desist letter to Drake obtained exclusively by Billboard, the late rapper's estate says it's deeply dismayed and would never given its approval. Tupac Shakur's estate is threatening to sue Drake over a recent diss track against Kendrick Lamar that featured an AI-generated version of the late rapper's voice, calling it a flagrant violation of the law and a blatant use of his legacy. In a Wednesday cease and desist letter obtained exclusively by Billboard, litigator Howard King told Drake that he must confirm that he will pull down his tailor-made freestyle in less than 24 hours or the estate would pursue all of its legal remedies against him. The estate is deeply dismayed and disappointed by your unauthorized use of Tupac's voice and personality. Not only is the record a flagrant violation of Tupac's publicity and estate legal rights, it is also a blatant abuse of the legacy of one of the greatest hip-hop artists of all time. The estate would have never given its approval for its use. The unauthorized, equal, dismaying use of Tupac's voice against Kendrick Lamar, a good friend to the estate who has given nothing but respect to Tupac and his legacy public and privately, compounds the insult. Basically, it was up, they gave him a certain amount of time to take it down, and then Drake inevitably took the entire song down because, yeah. Now, as I've said about 8 times already, while I can understand the point of Drake using the Tupac AI to use in TaylorMade, and I do think it was successful at getting under Kendrick's skin, which we'll get into later, that's not to say that I can also understand this move by the Tupac's estate taking down the song, since using Tupac in your own feud can be seen as weird, as we saw from the comment section. It's funny because Kendrick didn't even really have to do anything here to have Drake kind of take an L. In my personal opinion, I think that this is where people like me that aren't like completely in a rap like that or full on normies would be probably rooting against Drake at this point for his use of AI in TaylorMade, which probably contributed into why, for the most part in my opinion, he would lose the battle of public perception. And this is also kind of the start of the compounding negativity that Drake would get, which once again we will talk about. Now I'm gonna kind of speed through everything that was released up until now. So about a week later, Kendrick finally does his first response since Like That with a diss track called Euphoria. I liked how he even did the iconic Drake beat switches as well. I really like that. After much anticipation, Euphoria serves as Kendrick Lamar's official response to Drake's April 2024 diss tracks Pushups and TaylorMade Freestyle, while also serving as his first solo release since May 22's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. This song was released without any prior announcement via YouTube on April 30th, 2024 at 8:24 a.m. Pacific Standard as a subtle nod to fellow Los Angeles legend and former Laker, the late Kobe Bryant. There's a lot here. For one, it kind of had like this weird thing. It's like, which is the reverse of the sample reads, everything they say about me is true. This is him basically hinting that everything he's saying in this track is facts. It's facts. Says, know you a master manipulator and a habitual liar too, but don't tell no lie about me and I won't tell no truth about you. I love that line. There's a lot of lines that kind of hint towards Drake being a master manipulator too, like this one, fabricating stories on the family front cause you heard Mr. Morale, a pathetic master manipulator. I can smell the tails in you now. You're not a rap artist, you a scam artist with the hopes of being accepted. Tommy Hilfiger stood out but the FUBU never had been in your collection. Another thing is this, he says, hurt your feelings, you don't want to work with me more. 4. Oh, okay. It's 3 goats left and I see 2 of them kissing and hugging on stage. I love them to death and in 8 bars I'll explain that phrase. It's nothing nobody can tell me, huh? I don't want to talk about no celly, huh? You know I got language barriers, huh? It's no accent you can sell me, huh? Yeah, Cole and Aubrey know I'm a selfish nigga. The crown is heavy. I pray they're my real friends. If not, I'm Y&W Melly. One of the bars was like, it ain't 20v1, it's 1v20. If I gotta smack niggas I write with you, basically implying about his like 80 billion ghostwriters that helped Drake write the song, versus Kendrick, who's pretty much writing all these songs himself. He also addresses the Tupac AI thing as well. Somebody had told me that you got a ring on God, I'm ready to double the wage, basically because Drake has one of Tupac's rings, and he said, I'd rather do that than let a Canadian nigga make Pac turn in his grave, which once again is a response to him using the AI. And one other thing that I wanted to talk about was, he says, try cease and desist on the Like That record. Oh, what, you ain't like that record? Back to back, I like that record. I'm gonna get back to that for the record. He talks about like him going back to back, I like that record. He likes how he's going back to back, which hints at him going back to back in a second we'll talk about. He actually claimed here that Drake actually tried to cease and desist the Like That record, which once again, if true, and from what it seems like it's kind of true. It's kind of made a little bit. just teeny tiny bit. Then we get to the next day. After Euphoria drops, Kendrick Lamar then, similar to Drake, doubles back with a song on Instagram called 616 in LA, another shot towards Drake. I realize there's a lot of people that really don't like the song, like they don't like it at all, but I won't hold you, I like it more than the average person. I actually really like this one, especially the beat. I love the beat on this one. Now, what was also interesting is this is the cover art, which is like a glove or something along those lines, which is very, very interesting. It says 616 in LA is Kendrick Lamar's second diss track directed at Drake in their public 2024 beef. The song may have been bait for Drake to respond with his following diss track, Family Matters, which we'll get into. The title of the track also plays off Drake's timestamp series, of which there have been 7 installments in Drake's discography at the time of this release. The title may have several other potential meanings, whether intentional or purely coincidental. June 16th is the birthday of the late Tupac, while Kendrick's birthday falls on June 17th, will fall on this day in 2024. June 16th, also the date of Kendrick's first concert in Toronto. His 2011 tour was even quoted by the founder of the Twitter at the time, Jack Dorsey. I think it was probably a nod to Tupac, similar to how the last one was a nod to Kobe. The memorable aspect of this song, and what I will say is probably like the most telling verse that we're kind of once again getting into, is the fact that he has people in OVO that is working for Drake. And this is one of the things that was widely considered Drake having a mole within his legion, basically. He's saying, are you finally ready to play Have You Ever? Let's see, have you ever thought that OVO is working for me? Fake bully, I hate bullies. You must be a terrible person. Everyone inside your team is whispering that you deserve it. Can't Tootsie slide up out of this one, it's just gonna resurface. Every dog gotta have its day, and I'll live in your purpose. He also implies that Drake had put money in the streets and then essentially lost money when there was no dirt or anything that came up about Kendrick Lamar. And once again, this will be shown in Family Matters when we get to it. There was something that he accused Kendrick of, but we'll get to it. The fact that there was a mole in Drake's front is kind of shown by his cover art, which is of a glove, to be something that the mole got to kind of prove that there is a mole among OVO. Now, later that night, a lot of people actually considered this to be bait for Drake to drop Family Matters. Basically, drop the track that Drake hinted towards in Pushups, because he had like a sample that played towards the end of it. There was like playing and he was like, drop, 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 hinting towards that he has another song in the chamber if Kendrick decides to respond. Drake then dropped the long-awaited Family Matters, a 7-minute track that took aim at pretty much everyone that's addressed him once again. And with my honest opinion of this is definitely Drake's best track in his roster of songs in this beef. I, similar to a lot of other people, were pleasantly surprised to see Drake actually come for Kendrick's neck and not just call him short and that he has small feet. A lot of people will say that this is the best track out of the entire beef. I do have some issues with this one that makes this not my personal favorite track released throughout this whole beef. One of my main complaints was that I had with the song, like, as funny as I think he's been throughout this whole thing, why are we still talking about Rick Ross, brother? Like, come on, man. Is he living that rent-free in your head? So I wasn't really a fan of the middle portion of the track. I think the end portion was probably the best part, and the first part was pretty good, but it's not like crazy or anything. I just really like the chorus, and I think the chorus is really catchy. In Family Matters, Drake responds to both Euphoria and 616 in LA by Kendrick Lamar. Throughout his third diss track, Drake shoots at Kendrick and lays multiple truths. Simultaneously, he refutes claims made throughout Kendrick's disses. Drake also also took shots at Metro Boomin, The Weeknd, Rick Ross, A$AP Rocky, and label exclusive Dave Free. All the other rappers I don't really care about, I'm not gonna lie. I don't really care about like what he has to say against A$AP Rocky. We're talking about Kendrick, okay? And against Kendrick, there was a few things that he accused him of. He said, stop trying to piece together what I know and go pick up the pieces of your broken home. I mean, it's pretty obvious what he's implying. First, and before the drop of 616 in LA, he uploaded a photo of Adonis looking at a mirror captioned with "Mirror Time Crody." This is a reference to Kendrick making fun of Canadian slang. Drake also dropped a music video along with the diss. The video is divided into 3 parts in the song. In the first part, where he's addressing Kendrick, Drake bought the van used in Good Kid, Mad City artwork, second studio album by Kendrick, drove it all the way to Canada and destroyed it. I thought that part was kind of cool. Like that was pretty cool. That was a nice reference. The main theme discussed in this track were Kendrick's domestic abuse of his wife, the use of ghostwriters, and infidelity. Drake also mentions Whitney Alford, Kendrick's wife, having a baby with Kendrick's longtime collaborator Dave Free. Throughout the song, he insisted on using the word nigga constantly, a way to show Kendrick that he has no say in the matter. Oh yeah, that was a whole other thing that Kendrick was talking about, a lot of people were discussing, that I probably should have brought up because it is kind of like something people have problems with. If you guys don't know, Drake is mixed. From what I understand, he's half black and half Jewish. So basically Kendrick is saying, I don't even like the way you say nigga. He doesn't like the way that Drake says that word, and which kind of alludes to the fact that Drake is a culture roach. Now, there's a lot of people, especially mixed people, who kind of took this to mean that he's saying mixed people cannot say the N-word, which once again gets kind of disproved in Kendrick's next song if you listen closely. So on Family Members, he basically accused Kendrick of being a wife beater. I'm so sorry, guys. I completely forgot to talk about that. There's nowhere to hide, there's nowhere to hide, you know what I mean. They hired a crisis management team to clean up the fact that you beat on your queen. This is where he accuses him of the big thing, which is Drake claims that Kendrick beat his fiance Whitney Alford. So yeah, that was essentially what that is. The essence of Drake's strategy was to attack Kendrick's reputation as a wise, virtuous rapper his fans hold him to be. Singles very, very palpable about the track. I think he's also claimed the fact that he was like a fake activist as well. But yeah, so that's kind of, for the most part, like the most important parts of Family Matters. He accused him of being a wife beater. And the fact that when he actually cheated on him with Dave Freeze, and that's why their kid looks a lot like Dave Freeze, which a lot of people agree with. Oh, so one thing he actually says here is that a cease and desist is for hoes. Can't listen to lies that come out of your mouth. He called the Tupac estate and begged them to sue me and get that shit down. He right here accuses Kendrick of doing that, which, I mean, to be fair, is that a bad thing? Not really. Like, let's be honest, it's not really like a horrible thing. I won't be like, oh, Kendrick, you absolute monster. One of the things that was interesting was this bar here. Drake refers to Kendrick's verses on Euphoria, claiming OVO had moles, giving Kendrick information. Drake is asking who it was, ready to empty a clip in them, claiming he always knew there were snakes around him. Once again, is interesting, and once again, we'll talk about it when we get into the mole stuff, which we'll get into. This is gonna be a long video, guys. God dang it. Afterwards, not even an hour later, Kendrick pretty much takes all the wind out of the sails that Family Matters had with releasing Meet the Grams, which is by far the most diabolical track I've ever heard out of. It's one of those songs that if it was directed towards you, it would easily keep you up at night. Which, if you guys don't know, the cover for Meet the Grams is supposed to basically prove that it was the mole that did this because of the content that was in it is very personal, basically. Like, it was stuff that there is no way Kendrick Lamar would have had without a mole in the first place.
Then I'm also hearing the cover art. This cover art contains things that is from Drake's Pop's suitcase. So Drake's Pop's suitcase had these things in it. Don't know how he got a hold of it. Don't know how this happened to get in Kendrick's hand, but apparently Kendrick Lamar must have got a hold of Drake's dad's suitcase. So we're talking about Dennis Graham, which is Drake's Pops. Clearly his dad is not leaking shit, but who knows? You know, could be a girl that his dad was dealing with.
Kendrick just flat out talks to everyone in Drake's family. Starts off with Adonis, then he goes to his mother Sandra, talk to his dad Dennis, and his alleged daughter that he's apparently hiding, which was again is very interesting. And then he finally goes to Drake himself, who he calls Aubrey, which is Drake's actual name, kind of showing that he's not talking to Drake the rapper. He's not talking to that guy. He's talking to Aubrey, basically kind of playing into one once again Drake's fake persona that he kind of puts on, which to be fair, he kind of does. He acts like he's hard and he has like this, he's in like this gang activity stuff, but he's not. From what I understand, Drake is like pretty middle class. He wasn't in the hood or anything. He's from Canada, which is an insult in itself. Drake would upload Family Matters to YouTube, which Kendrick then used as fuel to unleash the sinister 6-minute track. Beyond addressing the grams, Kendrick attacks other aspects of Drake's character. He claims Drizzy is addicted to prescription pills, perhaps the ones that's displayed on the song's cover, compares him to disgraced movie producer Harvey Weinstein, claims he has sex offenders in his OVO sound payroll, and that he is a sexual deviant. A lot of people actually pass that Weinstein bar, which you guys know like Harvey Weinstein is. I don't think I need to get into that. One thing that I want to say, and that is very important here, is when he addresses Adonis, who keep in mind is Drake's son, he says, never code switch, whether right or wrong, you're a black man. Even if it don't benefit your goals, do some push-ups, get some discipline, don't cut them corners like your daddy did, what Ozempic did. Don't pay to play with them Brazilians, get a gym membership, understanding no throwing rocks and hiding hands, that's law. Don't be ashamed about who you with, that's how he treats your moms. Don't have a kid to hide again, be sure. 5% will comprehend, but 95 is lost. And once again, this is important because once again, there was a lot of people saying that because Drake wasn't fully black, he can't say the N-word, but that wasn't the point of what he said.
For all the people, I was even like, that were saying like the Kendrick is saying that mixed people aren't black. He's not. He's saying Drake isn't black. He's telling Adonis, you're a black man. No matter what they tell you, move like. So that actually diffuses Drake's shots at his wife for being mixed, because that's now a rebuttal to that. How did Kendrick know? This nigga's a Negro Damas.
But yeah, no, it was a good rebuttal to a lot of what Drake said on Family Matters. So honestly, this is a lethal track. What I found really interesting about this track is the fact that he went to Drake last and he addressed pretty much all of his like family members and stuff first, which I think is incredibly disrespectful because he's saying Drake is not even worth addressing first. He didn't once again call him Drake, he called him Aubrey. He said a lot of things. He's saying you got gambling problems, drinking problems, pill pop, spending problems, bad with money, whorehouse, soliciting woman problem. Therapy's a lovely start, but I subject some ayahuasca, strip the ego from the bottom. I think a lot of people miss the Harvey Weinstein bar, which once again, he says it more direct in the next track, but obviously a lot of people are saying this is not like a listenable track, but honestly, I don't even think it was meant for us necessarily, but more to Drake and the people he's addressing. Like, you know, this is something for Adonis to listen to when he's older. This is something for his alleged baby girl to listen to when she's older. Like, it's something that it's not supposed to be something that we're supposed to be like jamming to in the car. When I say turn on the aux, you turn on Meet the Grams. Like, no one's saying that, but it's definitely a haunting track for sure, and I think it did what it's supposed to do. The last thing he accuses of is how much of a liar he is. He says, you're a body shamer, you can't hide them baby mamas, ain't you? You embarrassed of them, that's not right, that ain't how mama raised us. Take that mask off, I want to see what's under them achievements. Why believe you? You never gave us nothing to believe in. Because you lied about your religious view, lied about your surgery, you lied about your accent and your past tense, it's all perjury. You lied about your ghostwriters, you lied about your crew members, they're all pussy, you lied on them. I know they all got you in them. You lied about your son, you lied about your daughter, huh? You lied about them other kids that's out there hoping that you come. You lied about the only artist that can offer you some help. Pick a rap battle. This is a long life battle with yourself. That was crazy. Kendrick ends his final message to Drake with a bold statement. This battle is bigger than rap. The final verse is spent going through Drake for his character flaws, addictions, insecurities, indiscretions, and lack of maturity, suggesting that ultimately Drake will have to face himself in the mirror. Once again, he alludes to Drake's poor strategical choice of fabricating stories on a family front, a theme which goes back to the refrain found on March 27th, The Heart Part 4, which is referenced during the intro of Euphoria. So basically, he's just saying that, like, Drake is a complete liar about everything. It's a crazy track, bro. Like, he really goes in on Drake more than anyone has before, and he really peeled him down to like the layers of what Drake really is when you take away all of the achievements. It's just a master manipulator and a liar, which once again we'll get into. Now, after releasing that bombshell and completely deflating what was Family Matters, and for a temporary amount of time deflated the entirety of what that song was, and the hype around it was completely deflated by Meet the Grams. Now, Drake had initially responded to the allegations of him having a second child on an Instagram post, which honestly I think was a bad move in retrospect. And once again, I'll talk that in a bit. I know I keep saying that, but like, there's a lot of stuff here. This was the initial IG story that Drake had, basically. So he had himself here and he said, "Nah, hold on. Can someone find my hidden daughter, please, and send her to me? These guys are in shambles." And then I think he said something afterwards. I think he said something along the lines of, "If my second daughter exists, I'll stop making music," or something along those lines. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, it's just funny.
Chad, what do you make of this, bro? I mean, if you say this, Kendrick could say, "Can you find where I've ever beat my wife? These guys are in shambles." You seen I was saying that Drake shit was hard, bro. You seen, yo, Drake fans, I was on your side. I was on your side. He did his thing, bro. Drake. In 2015, you went against my favorite rapper at the time and you destroyed him. You know what he was doing a lot? Posting on the story. Replying to what you were saying on the story. Yes, you were replying with songs, so it's not exactly the same. But Kendrick hasn't said one thing on a story, on a tweet, or on nothing. He just been dropping songs. Not one thing. Just drop the music, bro. Drizzy, just drop the music, bro. You've been posting so many stories. Like, I ain't never seen you like this, bro.
Basically, that was kind of like everything that happened. And honestly, makes a good point here. To post on the story and say it's all memes and stuff, that's something that Kendrick already said. Like, people are seeing through it. The fact that you're posting memes is basically you just coping with the information and kind of proving that Kendrick was right. Drake was playing right into Kendrick's hands. So a lot of people at this point had Kendrick winning. There were some people who said that Drake was winning with Family Matters. But I personally don't agree with that, like, at all. But they go off, I guess, you know, you do what you must. So as of this point in the beef, we're seeing a lot of heavy accusations on both sides. Drake is claiming that Kendrick is a wife beater, and Kendrick has said that Drake has a secret daughter and is comparable to Harvey Weinstein. That's a lot, as even for a rap beef. Also, keep in mind, all of these claims are alleged, as there's no proof on either side that either thing is really true. After that, the next day rolls by, and Kendrick comes out with one final swing to Drake's reputation with Not Like Us, which, in my personal opinion, it's the best song that's come out of this beef. Once again, I like how Family Matters sounds. It sounds good. Not only is Not Like Us sound good, but it also is just incredibly potent all the way through. For me, personally, it feels like the third section of Family Matters, but it's the whole song. Not Like Us is Kendrick Lamar's fourth diss track directed at Drake, released on evening of May 4th, 2024, less than 24 hours after the release of Meet the Grams. On the track, Kendrick avenges the West Coast for Drake's controversial use of Tupac and Snoop Dogg AI vocals on the song. Kendrick raps over a bouncy Mustard-produced beat, which, typical of Mustard style, is inspired by hi-fi. Kendrick's zany vocal inflections and fast flows are reminiscent of Bay Area legend E40, a personal favorite of his who was shouted out in October 24's Money Trees. Among other disses, notably calling Drake a snitch and a culture vulture, Kendrick doubles down on prior allegations made against Drake of sexual deviancy. This time, he outright calls Drake and his associates using the term certified as a clever play on Drake's September 2021 album Certified Lover Boy. The YouTube thumbnail features a Google Maps screenshot of Drake's mansion at Park Lane Circle in Toronto, Canada. Park Lane Circle is a Toronto oasis where several celebrities love to build extremely lavish mansions. The thumbnail, edited in a way that closely resembles a modern sex offender registry, which pinpoints the residency of a convicted offender, is continuing the thread of allegations made by Kendrick Lamar that Drake is a sexual predator. It insinuates that Drake's mansion, nicknamed the Embassy, is a hub for illegal sexual activity. And also, I believe in Meet the Grams, he actually implies that the Embassy is gonna get raided or something. Yeah, so this is Meet the Grams. So he says, Cat Williams said, "Get you the truth, so I'm gonna get mine." The Embassy about to get raided too. It's only a matter of time. But guys, I'm not gonna lie, this song, Not Like Us, is really good. It's just accusations. There was some interesting stuff in here that we are going to get into that I really want to talk about that makes Drake look crazy. The people, you guys know the list of people that we saw on OVO Sound. There's basically a whole other thing that we're going to talk about with that, where there's some niggas in there that are weirdos, okay? Kendrick calls him out in this song. Also, I think in the public eye, this was easily one of the best tracks, because if we look at the views on Kendrick's channel, right? And keep in mind, this isn't even a music video. This is just the raw song coming out. We're on Kendrick's channel here. You see Euphoria and Meet the Grams got 20 mil a piece, which is really good, do not get me wrong. 35 million views! Not Like Us, 35 million views. And it's crazy how he has a song calling Drake a PDF file throughout the entire thing. I'm gonna have to censor, I'm gonna have to censor the word, whoops. And made a beat that people can play at the club, which by the way, people have played at the club, which is crazy.
Hold on. I'm at the pool party. BBL Drizzy, I'm at the pool party, and they just called you a petty. You a chomo? They backed it up at the party. Come on, black boy.
Put your lingo off. 21, get your first street cred. Hell, but you feel like you a slime in your head. Lingo said you could be from north side. Two chains say you good, but he lied. Stand like us, stand this way. They not like us. 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 They not like us.
Guys, I'm sorry. That song is so good. It's the best song, bro. It is so good. And there's so many aspects to it that's iconic. It's too good. It's too catchy. And it's like, when I think of this beef, I'm just gonna think of this song if I'm being quite honest. OV-HOOOOEEEEEEE part is insane. It's insane, bro. It is insane. At this point in the beef, the stuff has gotten so big. I've seen people who look like they listen to Beethoven talk about this rap beef. Like, I've seen people who have probably never heard rap in their life talk about this beef. It went completely mainstream. So many people are talking about it, and there is good reason why. Underneath the petty back and forth beef between Kendrick and Drake, there are some heavy accusations being thrown in this. Whereas people glossed over it in Meet the Grams, but at multiple points and Not Like Us, Kendrick talks about Drake's weird history with underage girls and more, but for right now, we're not going to talk about it. The reason why, I did actually talk about it, but if I included the part in there, this video would genuinely be like 3 hours long. There's too many accusations to go through for one video, so I'm going to tackle it at another point, a separate video for the accusations basically. But for now, let's just get into the hard part 6. After a week of letting the PDF file accusations fester among the people, because that's a smart thing to do, Drake finally drops the track, The Heart Part 6. Drake addresses the allegations made by Kendrick Lamar in his last 2 diss tracks, Meet the Grams and Not Like Us, while also going on the offensive. Similar to how Kendrick mocked Drake's AM to PM series of songs with 616 in LA, Drake takes a page out of Kendrick's book by mocking his The Heart series, which has been a staple throughout Kendrick's long career. And then we have the cover art, which the cover art depicts an Instagram comment by PG Lang co-founder Dave Freeze under a post of Whitney Alfred's children. Drake uses this to allude to his claim made on Family Matters that Alfred cheated on Kendrick with Free and had a baby with him that Kendrick is raising. What I find hilarious about this is technically the first time he fully addresses Kendrick Lamar without really talking about anybody else. And as said before, Kendrick has a series called From the Heart that he's been releasing since 2010. Now, if you guys don't know what From the Heart series is, this is Kendrick's series that he's basically been releasing since 2010. We got this article here. It says a staple in his catalog since 2010. The Heart is a series of one-off releases in which Kendrick Lamar bears his soul in a seemingly endless string of bars that gives insight into his life, as well as his mission to attain immortality within hip-hop culture. Over the years, each new edition of the series becomes indicative of the rapper's plans to release his next body of work, whether it be a mixtape such as Overly Dedicated, or albums like Good Kid, Mad City, and Damn. This has resulted in The Heart becoming one of the more popular song series in recent memory, with each drop feeling like a cultural event. I do remember part 5 actually, and how he used like deepfake technology. It's supposed to be like a symbolism of stuff. It was really interesting. I remember I saw that actually. I don't remember too much about it. That was really interesting. I think he took the thing of like Obama or something like that, I believe, but I'm not 100% sure. And the cover art is once again Dave Freeze, which you already went over. So yeah. Now I think this is a cool nod to Kendrick series. Once again, it was a good play on Kendrick's From the Heart series. But is the song good? And I think it is a good response, but I would definitely say that this is probably the worst out of the tracks that Drake's been releasing throughout this entire beef. Also, I found it funny how Drake went from like edging Kendrick on and constantly telling him to drop in both like Tailor Made and stuff. And then in this track, Drake sounds so deflated from these songs, it's insane. He sounds like me after coming back from school. There's a lot of people hyping up his Instagram post about the red button stuff. Basically that Drake had a red button that he was gonna slam and press down to annihilate Kendrick's whole career basically. And everybody was hyping that up.
Drake fans, speak to me. What needs to be done? How are you feeling? What the fuck happens next?
Bro, Drake, I don't know what the fuck the red button is.
I don't know where it's hidden, up your ass or something, but pull it the fuck out and stomp on that motherfucker because it's not looking good. It wasn't looking good after last night, let alone right now. What the fuck is this? How the fuck is he already responding to shit from yesterday?
And if this is the red button that he pressed, which, I mean, after getting called a PDF file about 8 different times, I would assume this is the red button. But if this is the red button, this is probably the weakest red button I've ever heard in my life. This was so underwhelming. And this is not what I was expecting from the big red spooky button that Drake had this entire time. You could say the big red button in this aspect is essentially the main claim of what Drake is saying, which was that he faked the mole stuff the entire time. So he says here, we plotted for a week and then we fed you the information. A daughter that's 11 years old, I bet he takes it. We thought about giving a fake name or destination, but you so thirsty, you're not concerned with investigation. Instead, you in that Venus studio, it's a celebration. You gotta learn to fact check things and be less impatient. Fans are rejoicing, thinking this is my expiration. Even the picture you use, the jokes and the medication. The Maybach glove and the drug he uses for less inflation. Master manipulator, you bid on the speculation. You're dumb and reactive, nigga, I'm petty with dedication. Basically, Drake is saying the cover art was completely fabricated by that. People were saying that Shorty collection on it was a reference to Kendrick to make him look stupid. I think that's a huge reach, but okay. And he tricked him with false info about him having a daughter, an 11-year-old daughter this whole time. One thing that I think is very ironic that had about 30 minutes before it aged poorly, he said in the song that there are no lies within the heart part 6, and then proceeds to lie, but we'll get to it. One, he mentions some pretty sensitive stuff for Kendrick, if true. He mentions that he got, M-worded. He said that he had empty prescription bottles in Ozempic himself, and basically he confirmed once again the fake bait theory that was going around on Twitter was real, and said that Kendrick should be evaluating his sources before he drops lies, which directly deconfirms the daughter allegations from Kendrick. Once again, I give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he did give him that fake information. That's fair. I think the biggest thing that people had a really weird issue with was his accusations to the entire PDF file allegations and everything he said about that. Here he says, I've never been with no one underage, but now I understand why this is the angle that you mess with. Just for clarity, I feel disgusted. I'm too respected. If I was effing young girls, I promise I'd have been arrested. I'm way too famous for this ish that you suggested. Now, I just want to point this out, and just to be clear, this is the same exact excuse that
the large cupcake man,
a figure that nobody likes really. He basically said something along the lines of, I'm too famous. Why would I risk my whole platform for a little kid?
Listen, motherfucker, all right? If you honestly believe that I would throw my life away, right, for a bitch that doesn't even fucking have hair on her fucking pussy, for a bitch that probably doesn't even know her fucking ABCs, for a fucking bitch that can't even count to fucking 100, for a fucking bitch that needs to have her fucking nose up in the fucking textbooks, my nigga. If you honestly believe that I'm a motherfucking pal, you're fucking high.
This is just such a stupid argument. I'm too famous for this ish you just suggested. Okay, buddy, sure. Now, another thing he mentions is that something other people had mentioned too, of him being a hypocrite. If you still bump an R. Kelly, you could think that Savior said if they deleted his music, then your music is going to a hypocrite. Drake brings up the controversial stance Kendrick Lamar took in June 2018, but their Spotify removed XXXTentacion and R. Kelly songs from the playlist. Kendrick stood in defense of X and R. Kelly, and Kendrick even threatened to pull his own music on Spotify if their actions continue. Drake implies that Kendrick is a hypocrite for defending for one P word and domestic abuser, but wants to fully call out and wish death upon an alleged P word. And you know what? That's fair. I was arguing with this a lot. I thought that it was just X. I think there is more context to why he said that, but I think that, you know, if you're gonna stand against Drake for being Harvey Weinstein, then you gotta also call out the R. Kelly stuff that was going on as well, where they were taking his music away. Another thing I'll definitely give him is that in the song he says, I'll see you when I see you like Fantasia, and Whitney, you can hit me if you need a favor, and when I say I hit you back, it's a lot safer. That's funny. Even if the accusations aren't real, that's funny. That's funny. I'm your baby mama's screensaver. Only effing with Whitney's, not Millie Bobby Brown's. I never look twice at no teenager. There's a lot of, once again, things that he said involving the underage girls, saying that he would never do something like that. Which, I mean, we've kind of shown with the 17-year-old on stage that, I mean, he would. I believe in the track he said he wasn't spitting lies or anything. But one of the things that is just a complete lie is the mention of how he got molested, right? He said, my mom came over today and I was like, mother, I, wait a second, that's that one record where you say you got molested. He's referring to Mr. Morale album where he kind of goes into more deep into like his personal life and his family life and stuff, which from what I understand is just not true. The song which he's referring to, apparently this was his mom that was going through the thing, and it was apparently very clear Drake got that information wrong. Automatically, his whole like thing where he says he hasn't lied at all in this track is just a complete lie. So that's cool. And then that kind of puts into question kind of the other stuff that he claims, like the fake bait theory being right, which once again could entirely be right, but just some little weird things going on there with the Heart Part 6. Once again, I don't really like this song that much, not gonna lie. Better than Tailor Made, but not for me. After Drake releases the Heart Part 6, a lot of people, a lot of Drake fans specifically, are happy. Yo, we just got Kendrick. Kendrick had fake information this entire time, right?
No.
There was some things, once again, I mentioned previously that just doesn't make sense about it as to if this was really something by the mole. And this is one thing that I didn't mention yet, but since the Heart Part 6 dropped, why did it take a week for him to respond if this was a mole, right? If Drake had fake information about having a mole in OVO and it was a fake mole the whole time, why did it take so long for Drake to drop the music? I mean, if that's the case, then you should understand where the angle Kendrick is going from, right? And even if you want to say it was because of the PDF allegations, he compared him to Harvey Weinstein and implied that all the way back to Meet the Grams. It wouldn't take that long, and there wasn't that many bars about him being PDF file that it's like, it is what it is.
Drake said, the reason why you trying to call me a speedo so much is because you got played with when you were younger. And he tries to refer back to the Mother I track. Now, if y'all pea-brain ass niggas would have listened to that track, he's talking about the fact that his mother got played with. She thought that his cousin played with him. He said that did not happen, and she didn't believe him due to the trauma that she went through. This nigga Drake was blatantly lying all throughout his track. So that whole part of, just throw that shit out the fucking window. Why the fuck are you bringing up Millie Bobby? Nobody ever brought...
Nobody ever brought... That's facts, bro. That's facts. There's a few bits of information that, once again, just doesn't make much sense, if I'm quite honest, once again, with the mole. People would kind of call this out on certain replies. O'Shea Jackson Jr. on Twitter actually said, if I gave a nigga false info and set a trap, I would go on IG the same night the trap worked and make a defensive post. GG's. This person makes a good point, where Drake said, in Family Matters, people you got your information from, they all clown. Also, Drake, we plotted for a week and fed you fake information. So, are you guys the clowns? Like, does that make any sense? I think the other dude referenced that in his TikTok, but it was just like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. There was also this tweet. It says, damn, Drake is next level. He really played the long game for years by DMing underage girls, rapping about high school girls being hot, and even bringing underage girls on stage, all to trick Kendrick into thinking Drake's a pedophile. Chess, not checkers. From the GOAT. He's the GOAT!
What is a random bar?
What the fuck is this?
Niggas just said chill with the tweets. And
Yeah.
gonna
Like
read
even
and entertain the tweets. Like
even the sleeping pills.
Like what the fuck are we talking about, bro? Come on.
Even the sleeping pills as well. Like all of that stuff that he's doing to set him up. Why would you not have proof and recording yourself that you're setting him up?
This is just chill, KB.
Deadass chat. I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. The more and more I think about it, bro, and I'm not, y'all niggas say I'm hating, I don't give a fuck, bro. The more and more I think about it, bro, this nigga just took shit that he saw on Twitter and just pieced it together and responded to this.
Can you not say that Kendrick also did that with a couple of his...
I agree.
This is another point of contention that a lot of people will say the burden of proof is on Kendrick, but if Drake was really the one that set him up and that was like, oh man, he set you up the whole time, why not just show a text of proof or anything of the sort? Why is the Dave Freeze thing your album cover? Your album cover should be Kendrick's album cover, but like with a text or something that said, yeah, we set him up, boys, to prove that this was fake the entire time. Why is there no proof of this, like, whatsoever? People are saying this is Kendrick. The burden of proof is on him. Is it really? If he's claiming it's fake the entire time, it would be way easier for Drake to prove that than Kendrick proving that he has moles in OVO. It would be better if Drake just proved, and it would be so easy to prove as well. By the way, some of this information apparently was just true. Once again, as I said before, if this is true, that means Drake leaked pretty much everything he said in Family Matters on purpose to Kendrick so that Kendrick responds with the 11-year-old allegations. Because remember, in Meet the Grams, he knew exactly what Drake was saying in Family Matters. He'd known, honestly, since Euphoria, because he said he's gonna lie about his family. He predicted everything that was going on. So did the mole act like an actual mole so that way it can fake mole stuff? In my opinion, that just makes no sense. I can't wrap my head around that being true, if I'm being completely honest, but yeah. We got Drake's biggest op here again. Drake's biggest op living rent-free in his head because we got another Rick Ross bar. I'll get into this. We need a Ross bar every diss track from Drake, bro. Every Drake diss track, we always need a Ross bar. And Rick Ross responded to this.
Listen, we keeping Drake away from the car show because the kids are welcome. Nobody with that background, no, shall be allowed on the Promised Land premises.
Bro, Ross is a troll, man. That's so funny, dude. This was pretty much the final drop before both Drake and Kendrick kind of ended. When it came down to it, The Heart Part 6 just wasn't a hard-hitting record that people thought it was going to be. I think people in Kendrick's camp, I think one person that was mentioned, which is I think DJ Head, basically said that the beef is pretty much over. This was Drake waving the white flag.
There's a show that's going to air, which we filmed today. There's a show that's going to air. We filmed it today with Elliot Wilson and I and Jeremy Hecht. And I said that on this show, I said the only way that this ends is if he puts a white flag up. If you just listen to what I just listened to, that's what it sounded like to me. So, unfortunately, I have it on good knowledge that he's cooked and he's done and he lost. So, with that information, what you will, but he's cooked, he lost, that's the sentiment.
Now, at first, I didn't really understand that, but I guess after talking to some people, this is the common consensus, that this is Drake waving the white flag that he lost. Which, by the way, I do think he lost completely. I think he got blown out the water. But once again, we'll talk about that later. And I'll talk about why I think that in a minute. Because it's not just because I think Kendrick had the better songs or anything. A few days later, there was some more news regarding K-Dot and Drake that was actually confirmed false, but let me get to it at first. So this was a tweet made by Yon Is Not Real. Currently waiting for proof, take with a grain of salt until then. Drake news, Kendrick Lamar news. From an insider, waiting on proof in the form of documents, will update whenever I receive it. PG, Lang, Kendrick, and EXO, The Weeknd, as of yesterday, were asked by Universal Music Group UMG to end the beef with OVO, Drake. Kendrick apparently isn't budging at all, but the UMG is pressing hard on their request to squash the beef. UMG also had a Zoom meeting with all the parties involved, and they want Kendrick either directly or said through PG Lang to post a statement clarifying that Drake isn't a P-word if Kendrick agrees to end the beef. Drake is losing the beef in UMG's eyes, so from the UMG's perspective, the sooner that this beef ends, the better. The P-word accusations directed at Drake are costing UMG, Nike, and other parties, quote-unquote, a lot of. If this was true, this would be kind of insane, because a lot of people wanted Kendrick to respond from The Heart Part 6. He hadn't put anything out at that point, and people were figuring out the reason why, and this popped up, and this was kind of like people's reasoning as to what that was, and people said if this is true, then Drake lost 100%. Now, fortunately, this was actually confirmed false. Drake and Kendrick rumor about UMG mediating BS. Label ain't interfering. So this was by TMZ themselves that reported this. There's a rumor going around that Drake and Kendrick Lamar's shared music label tried to force them to squash their beef, but turns out it's totally unfounded, TMZ has learned. It sounded pretty thorough and detailed detailed, but sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ there was no such meeting between UMG, Drake, and Kendrick, and that this entire little narrative, which is starting to go viral online, is completely made up and not true. We're told not only did UMG not insert itself here, but our sources who are familiar with the inner workings of the label say Universal would never jump into something like this, which I mean is fair. I mean, this is like gotten very serious, so I mean makes sense. The way it was explained to us, Kendrick and Drake's beef is between them and completely separate from the business side of things, and UMG just doesn't think it's their place to step either way. So they didn't, nor did they ever consider doing so. Mind you, there's also the fact that these music drops have clearly only helped them. All the tracks between these two guys have spurred lots of streams and plays, and that's dollars for UMG. So objectively, there's a financial incentive to keep a beef like this going. That's basically the basis of the information. There was like that rumor, but it turned out fake. Now, we cut to like a day or something ago later. I might be wrong on that. I might be right. Who knows? But basically, there's a thing that happened afterwards when it came down to it, and that was a shooting that happened at Drake's house. As you guys know, Drake has a gigantic mansion, and where a mansion comes security guards. With that being said, it was reported that there was an apparent shooting that happened outside of Drake's place. And this is kind of where things get a lot more serious.
A security guard was shot outside rapper Drake's home in Toronto, Canada, authorities said.
All I'm going to say about the victim is that he's still in the hospital in serious condition.
Police declined to answer if Drake was at the residence at the time of the shooting. Reporters asked if the shooting had anything to do with a decades-long feud that's recently been escalating with rapper Kendrick Lamar.
To what extent is the rap beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar part of the investigation focus?
So, I am aware of what you're talking about, but it is so early in the investigation that we don't have a motive at this time. This is no different than any other investigation.
Basically, there was a shooting that went on, and a lot of people at the time kind of speculated that this was Kendrick's fault for doing that. A lot of people blame Kendrick for doxing, quote unquote, Drake's place in Not Like Us. But from what I understand, that place was already public anyway, and I think Drake even had that available. Now, you could say he popularized that area, but I just don't think that's doxing, really. Police were called to the home about 2 a.m. local time Tuesday, where they found a wounded man who was taken to the hospital in serious condition. The security guard was working outside the gate at the home when he was shot, according to authorities. He remains hospitalized in serious condition. I do hope that everything is better with the security guard. That really stinks that things kind of dragged on to this point. Hopefully they'll be better, but yeah, a lot of people were speculating who caused this and what happened during the investigation or whatever. Once again, there was no motive that had been determined by the investigators, by the people investigating, because it was so early in the investigation. You could very well make the connection that because of this whole beef and what Kendrick accused Drake of, it kind of had some crazy people go and do some crazy stuff. Would I say this is Kendrick's fault? Absolutely not. I do refuse to blame Kendrick for the situation. He did not ask people to do this. He did not ask people to go shoot up his home. I just do not put that much responsibility on someone for that. Once again, I really hope the security guard gets through this and nothing tragic happens, though once again it is serious, very serious, so hopefully that nothing bad happens there. People actually tried to link it to The Weeknd, I believe, and I don't really know much about that, but that's just like completely speculation on that end. I don't think there was anything going on there, if I'm honest. What was also interesting that came out of this whole thing with Drake's place getting shot was that DJ Academics, who I've been kind of showcasing throughout this whole thing, he is a huge Drake stan, and from what I understand, he does have a lot of connections in the music industry. So I think when he says something, it's gonna be, for the most part, important. It was speculated here by the NFR podcast, you see here, a new diss track was supposed to drop today, being May 7th, but the shooting at Drake's altered those plans. Academics confirmed this and also did not say whether it was Kendrick Lamar or Drake.
There was supposed to be some new music today. I'm not saying from who, nor am I going to confirm if it was from either party that would have been really interested in. The plan of releasing that got foiled today after some really serious news came out. If you guys don't know, there was a shooting at Drake's house this morning. A shooting where his security guard was hit in the chest in what's being called a drive-by.
DJ Academic said that someone was actually supposed to drop another track, but for some reason didn't claim who was doing the droppage, Drake or Kendrick. And he was being very cryptic about it, which is weird because you would assume that it's Drake because he's a huge Drake stan and he has probably a lot of connection within Drake's camp. But the thing is, Drake literally said he wasn't responding anymore in the Heart Part 6, quote unquote, unless Kendrick dropped some truth in it. He literally said that in the track. So Drake says, you know, at least your fans are getting some raps out of you. I'm happy that I can motivate you, bring you back to the game, like, you know, but let me know when we're getting to the facts. Everything in my joint is facts. I'm waiting on you to return the favor. He's waiting for Kendrick to respond, which would be weird to say, and then Drake then releases something later on. So that would kind of imply that it was Kendrick who was supposed to drop something. But if that was the case, why would Ak be the one to share that is my question. Now, at the end of the day, the question is, who won the rap battle? Drake or Kendrick? Well, at this point, since it's been about a month since the rap battle, I think we can all agree that Kendrick bent Drake over and anally blasted him. At first, there was a lot of people who disagreed with said take, saying that Kendrick was washed, that he was scared, but ultimately, that was proven very, very wrong. Now, once again, I'm not going to go through all the specific allegations because that's for another time. However, what I will say is that there were quite a few things that came to light with Drake, and it's actually put a lot of his reputation at scrutiny, in both him as a person and him as a rapper. Meanwhile, Kendrick's been chilling for the most part, aside from a few minor things like people saying Not Like Us was completely made from tweets with 131 views, which is honestly hilarious that people are actually coping that hard about it.
So I don't think he stole these bars. Honestly, I'm gonna just keep it on it. I'm gonna just give Kendrick his credit for being a genius. Like, this was a good song. It was a little bit dumbed down, but that's exactly what needed to work. It's making everybody dance. I don't gotta sit here and try to belittle his efforts. And for the Drake fans who are watching, man, bro, we don't gotta like. I know right now in this moment, most people wish either Drake was dropping again now, or maybe Drake had a song that was kind of going in the clubs. I don't even know why they don't fuck with Family Matters as much, because Family Matters is dope. But we just can't be delusional. Give credit to Kendrick for what he's done in terms of at least having this song that's breaking all the records. I don't think it makes Drake look any type of way, right? I think it makes us look like salty Drake fans just trying to create shit to discredit the nigga. You know what I mean? Like, bro, the nigga got a bop. It happens.
And I don't mean to be a Kendrick meat writer here, but it only reinforces what Kendrick was trying to say. A lot of the stuff and a lot of the things he claimed aren't things that he came up with. It's the things that the culture came up with. But even if you don't want to take it that way, you really think Kendrick scrolling on Twitter saw a dude talk about something with 131 views and decided to put that in a beef? Like, what? You people have to learn that the world does not revolve around you. Like, you have to learn that. You guys are delusional. Also, you know what's funny? That he's the one saying this, like DJ Academics is the one saying this. His own Twitter account was the one that made the accusation. Like, does this nigga have split personalities, or is he just that bad at managing his own account? It's one of the two. On top of all of that, if we just look at the music both artists put out, I think we can all agree that Kendrick's overall catalog has been better for sure. And the one track that people agree is Drake's best song, that being Family Matters, was completely deflated by Meet the Gram. Criticize the song all you want about how it's not replayable or whatever, but I think the song did what it was supposed to do, which was make Family Matters completely unlistenable at that moment. As I'm listening back to it, Euphoria just literally gets better and better, like just in general. A lot of people on Euphoria when it first came out, but honestly, Euphoria is one of my favorite songs, and I had recorded the bit a while ago saying that Family Matters, in my opinion, was the second best song. At this point, and I know this is going to be a hot take, but I actually like Euphoria over Family Matters, like genuinely. However, I think out of all the tracks that Kendrick released, Not Like Us has to be the highlight. Not Like Us is literally breaking records currently, with it ironically beating out Drake's God's Plan as the fastest hip-hop song to reach 100 million streams. So right here it says, according to chart data, it has now surpassed 100 million streams on Spotify. Therefore, it is now the fastest hip-hop song in history to reach this, as it has done so by surpassing Drake's 2018 smash hit, God Plan. Then you have people and celebrities dancing to and playing Not Like Us everywhere. Now, I can't list every single person who has put out some sort of video dancing to Not Like Us because it would be way too freaking long, but just to give a few highlights, you have things like Isaiah Rashad playing Not Like Us at the end of his show in Houston. Billie Eilish, who, if you guys remember, actually defended Drake a long time ago when she said she was actually good friends with Drake, was dancing to Not Like Us.
They not like us. They not like us.
There's also people like Joe Budden who said that Drake unequivocally lost as well.
He made it a lose-lose. Unequivocally.
The route he went, took it from him. He said in Tailor-Made Freestyle, he begged him to drop. And then once again, it is funny how his attitude completely changed after it did a whole 180 from that to, I don't want to hear nothing unless you speak in facts or something like that. It is, in a sense, waving the white flag. There's also Cameron and Massey that also have the opinion that Kendrick won the overall fight.
Yeah, that would have been super dope.
So who you think won?
The battle?
Yeah.
Right now, man, I'm gonna be honest. Kendrick, I don't like what Drake dropped last night because it wasn't bad, but I don't like the way it ended. He seemed like this is the last one I'm doing. Like, can't end it when you just want to end it. You know, yo, man, it's all, I'm tired of doing this, that, and the third. And I just think that you shouldn't have ended it like that. You just gotta keep going. That's just my opinion right now. I'm not saying Drake ain't my bro or nothing, but I don't like the way he ended it, if that's the end for him, me personally. So I'm gonna go with Kendrick right now.
Yeah, I'm going with Kendrick as well. It seemed like whatever he started out doing, he picked up the speed, pause, and really did what he was supposed to do. I thought the record that he did, the last one that he did, was the one I thought he should have done a little bit earlier. But
Meet the Grams or the other one?
The Meet the Grams. I would have started with Meet the Grams, and then I would have went into Not Like Us.
Not Like Us. Yeah.
That was crazy. When I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Hey, yo, Larry.
Even Drake's biggest meat writer, DJ Academics, the dude I've been playing a lot of his clips recently, so shout out to him for staying on top of all the beef and stuff and explaining things. He is Drake's biggest meat writer. If you guys do not know, even when Kendrick put out things like Not Like Us, completely unimpressed. But when Drake made Tailor-Made Freestyle, bro was like bouncing off the walls like a Looney Tunes character, dog. It was actually insane.
I've talked to Drake and his energy, not one time, not a couple times, it's been every time. I'm ready and waiting, and he got so ready and waiting, he realized Kendrick seen pussy, he dropped first. I'm sorry, Drake is like a genre of music, my nigga. Like, you're stuck on an island, imagine if all you can listen to is all this militant, we gonna be all right, left, right shit. Fuck out of here, nigga. Yo, Kendrick, he's begging you to drop. The pussy shenanigans is over. The bait and switch, the bluffer Olympics is done. Drop your fucking 4-year-old song that you could get demolished.
Even he said at that point, Kendrick is pretty much won.
Where do we stand on this now? And I know you'd said that you felt like Kendrick was winning this. Slightly. So where do you stand after Drake's latest song?
I think Drake's, his latest song I'm a little bit torn with because I like lyrical Drake. So Drake is getting into the bag that most real hardcore stands like, which is me. I like when he raps. The subject matter is something that necessarily doesn't belong in a battle, right? I mean, it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. When someone accuses you of such serious allegations, if you ignore it, it becomes the elephant in the room. You address it, it almost brings more light to it. Going back to the last beef that Drake was in with Pusha T, that was ended quickly with a bombshell revelation that Drake had a kid. That's actually changed it's changed the trajectory of how all rap beefs are handled now, because these days it's more about gossip. But I think both of these guys are realizing we don't want to go into the scorecards or the judges. We need the knockout.
You need a knockout.
The knockout is going to be a revelation, right? If it was true, which, by the way, I've done my due diligence. I even spoke to Drake himself. And I was like, hey, you're hiding another kid? What's going on? He's like, man, listen, if you or anyone else, if TMZ, okay, if anybody can find that I'm hiding some 11-year-old daughter, I'll quit rapping. I'll go work for you guys.
It's just so funny how this dude thinks that Drake would ever tell him this. Like, if this was true and he was saying that, like, why would he say it to you? So, going back to Not Like Us, to understand how popular it is and how insane it is doing right now, Not Like Us is playing at clubs. It's playing at parties. Hell, I even saw that it was in a whole ass strip club. Like, I was, like, what? I don't even know if I can show this. I'm gonna have to blur the girl dancing because I don't know if I can show this, but like, this was insane, bro. She was literally, the stripper was really crip walking, dog. Stripper is crip walking. I don't know what to tell y'all. It's wild. Even in Toronto, the song is playing. You have that one video of the dude that's like singing Not Like Us while he's going around Toronto. This was someone at the club who said, bro, we at the club in Toronto last night. The DJ played Not Like Us. They kicked bro out of the club and told him he's not getting paid. That's wild. You gotta at least pay him, dog. And then here's the footage of, and this is the footage of him getting outed, pretty much. Really caused a whole commotion, dog. It's crazy. It's crazy. And yeah, it's just crazy to think that even in Toronto, the song that at multiple points says Drake and his crew are a bunch of weirdos and literally calls them PDF files at multiple points is literally being played at clubs with strippers crip walking. It's crazy. So when you have the song going that crazy, when people are playing it to that degree, for me personally, you lose it. I think this also brings up my main point here about this rap battle, and that's the community. When in a rap battle of sorts, or a diss track, or a diss war, or whatever the case, the community's perception is obviously the most important aspect because ultimately they're the deciding factor here. They're basically like a jury in court, or like the scorers at a boxing event or something along those lines. And as I hinted to before, I think Drake was fighting a losing battle and was on the back foot even before Kendrick put out any music whatsoever, before Euphoria and anything. Well, I mean, he had Like That, but you get what I'm trying to say. Do you guys remember all the way back earlier in the video when we had the negative reaction to Taylor Made, and it was pretty much a unanimous decision that while it's understandable why he did it, it was still something that was weird because it was AI. While it was probably effective to getting under Kendrick's skin, it came across horrible for the audience. And with Drake being someone that everyone already naturally didn't really like that much, this was a really bad move for him. Basically having those same people that could have been on your side go to Kendrick's, which once again, he hasn't even put anything out yet. Kendrick didn't have to respond or do anything. At this point, Drake already had his shovel in his hand and started to outline his grave for Kendrick to easily build. And to troll after Kendrick releases his tracks just had the people confused. As Kendrick said, his little memes were losing steam, and quite a lot of steam too. Kendrick also grabbed the heart of the community when he actually had allowed reactors to get their back from the beef as well, in which pretty much all of them were eternally grateful for that.
The main part of this video, and me saying thank you, is Kendrick Lamar. What you just did, bro, you might have changed the whole game for the reaction community. Now, I'm finna show y'all this picture right here. What Kendrick Lamar did, he removed all copyright claims from all reactors, all reaction channels, whether they big, small, everybody. This is a big deal right here. And I want to be one of the first ones to say, I might not be first because I'm making this video at 2 in the morning. I want to be one of the big reaction channels to speak on this. This right here is a W move for Kendrick Lamar on so many levels.
Your Rage, who is someone who heavily reacted to both Kendrick and Drake's side. Kendrick removed all copyright from all my reactions to his diss tracks and is letting me get paid for all of them. No label has ever done that for me, so I'm thankful. Soon after that, Drake also had his reactions uncopyrighted, so Rage tweeted that. My Drake reactions are also uncopyrighted. We eatin'!
Yeah, that brother's starving.
Now, after about 3 weeks or so, the UMG label had apparently started to actually copyright those songs. They were starting to do so with, I believe, Not Like Us. I don't think they've claimed Euphoria yet, but we'll have to see. One thing I do notice is that I see a lot of people blaming either Kendrick or Drake for this. And honestly, while it could be easy to have them take the fall for them, especially if you don't like one or the other, I don't think it's that. I think it's UMG. I think it's the label that wants to retake the revenue from the site. I don't think the artists, after allowing the reactors to have their songs uncopyrighted, would then copyright them later. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Also, you guys gotta remember, the label wants its money. And seeing the success of the beef and how many views it actually garnered, they want their money's worth. So eventually they are going to put those strikes back on. It's unfortunate because YouTube has all this dumb stuff with copyright and whatnot, and it's really unfair to the reactors because a lot of their reactions are transformative. There are some that you could argue is a replacement for the original material, but yeah.
So I've seen a few comments over this Kendrick Lamar Drake situation where people are saying, I should be grateful that the label let me monetize for a few weeks. I should be grateful off of my own content that by legal definition is transformative content and operates well within fair use policy. Money that I am originally entitled to, but normally I can't get it because the labels abuse the YouTube copyright system, they abuse the content ID system, and I have to fight tooth and nail just for a scratch sometimes Now they make it easier for me to get access to my own money. Then a few weeks later, they don't tell anybody, and they close that window. So now I can't access it. The money that I'm already entitled to. And I should be grateful that they opened it up for a few weeks for me to do? Tell me how that makes sense.
Overall, this comment on Reddit kind of sums it up about my feelings on it. It's not Kendrick and it's not Drake. UMG is just being a piece of crap because it's UMG and they're pieces of crap. Unfortunately, some reactors didn't get their payments on the 21st and they are getting screwed. But it has nothing to do with Dot or Drake. UMG just went back on their word. Now, hopefully this isn't true. Hopefully the reactors are going to still get paid when they have that 3-week grace period. If they are. If they're not, that's messed up by UMG for sure. Everything that happened on May 12th, Drake kind of did the same cryptic stuff that he usually did on his Instagram, you know, the posting of the weird stuff and memes that would go out after Kendrick would post his videos and responses and stuff. He actually had a post in his Instagram where he said, "Good times, summer vibes next." And one of the last updates about this whole situation, thank God, after about a month of the battle, it actually was showing here that Drake had deleted the Heart Part 6 off his Instagram. It says Drake deletes post of his Kendrick Lamar diss, the Heart Part 6 via IG. As you can see here, here's the thing. And then you see that this is gone. This person said, "Bro has officially acknowledged his L." Well, I mean, he still has the other ones, right? Well, 2 days later, Drake deletes all his posts about his rap battle with Kendrick Lamar from Instagram. The boy appears to officially signal the end of the K-Dot squabble. And they will say he hasn't accepted defeat. Drake sexuals will come twerk under posts like this to say he's still got songs on YouTube and streaming platforms. He has accepted he lost and it's time for his fans to also move on. Once again, that's kind of how I feel about this too. Now, as I said before, he said good vibes, summer vibes next. What would those summer vibes be, you may ask? How did he start the summer off? Well, a song with his fellow bad bitch, Sexy Red, right? The result? Something that I can't even show you guys. But after I listened to it like twice, yeah, turn this shit off, he lost. Now, once again, I didn't even touch the accusations or anything like that. I was going to initially, but I'm saving that for another video. I'm going to start working on it now and whatnot. We're going to list out all the accusations against both Kendrick and Drake and see which ones are true, false, whatnot, and all the other stuff that happened in between as well. There's still a lot of Drake and Kendrick, and honestly, this has been a very long video, but that's essentially what it is, and that's why I think Drake lost, because as Kendrick said, that's not me, that's what the culture's feeling. So it is what it is. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Oh my gosh, I want to die. Thank you for ending. All right, bye.